So in this video, we're going to cover synthesis questions dealing with who, whom, whose, where, and which. In my opinion, whom and who are the trickiest ones, so hopefully this video will help you with that. Without further ado, let's do question 1. Amanda is very proud. She has very few friends. So Amanda, who is very proud, has very few friends. So one thing you should notice is at this point, notice that there is a verb right after who. Okay, so Amanda, who is very proud, has very few friends. So as I go along the who questions, take note that there are verbs right after that, usually. On the other hand, for whom, you don't have verbs after whom. Okay, so that's the pattern to take note of. Moving on. Question 2. The reporter interviewed the player. He scored the winning goal for his team. And the answer is the player, sorry about the misprint, who scored the winning goal for his team was interviewed by the reporter. Jerry was late for school. Jerry is my cousin. Jerry, who is my cousin, was late for school. Now, if you're thinking if the other way could be acceptable, Jerry, who was late for school, is my cousin. I would say in terms of grammar, yes, no problem. So Jerry, who was late for school, is my cousin. Although this sounds better, although grammatically both are fine. Tom is a diligent pupil, as in hardworking. He won a scholarship to study in England. So Tom is a diligent pupil. Okay, we don't need to have double who's. Tom, who is a diligent pupil, who won a scholarship to study in England. Is she the girl? She was knocked down by a blue van the day before. Is she the girl who was knocked down by a blue van the day before? Exercise 2. The petite lady, petite as in she was small in size. The petite lady spoke rudely. She wore a well-tailored suit. So the petite lady who wore a well-tailored suit spoke rudely. Again, there's a verb right after who, right? Who wore a well-tailored suit. Jack is likely to be the softball captain because he is extremely skillful. So he plays it well, so he's likely to be the softball captain. Jack, comma, who is extremely skillful, comma, is likely to be the softball captain. Now, because the sentence here is quite short, then I would think it's actually fine if you omit the two commas. Without the two commas, it still makes sense. It's not too difficult to read. The teacher punished the students. They had triggered the fire alarm. So I'm assuming it was a false alarm. So maybe it was just a prank, but definitely deserves punishment. Yeah. Next, the teacher punished the students who had triggered the fire alarm. The lady whom I spoke to yesterday. So this is the usage of whom. Notice that right after the word whom, there isn't a verb. Yeah. So the lady whom I spoke to yesterday did not look like a Singaporean. So I spoke to a lady yesterday who did not look like a Singaporean. Question 5. That boy is Najid. He tops the class in mathematics. That boy who tops the class in mathematics is Najid. And exercise 3. The tall man is my uncle. He is making a phone call. The tall man who is making a phone call is my uncle. Again, a short sentence here without the two commas, totally fine. The man is smiling, he is a painter. The man who is smiling is a painter. I allowed the student to go to the general office. She was running a fever. So I allowed the student who was running a fever to go to the general office. That man is my uncle. He is wearing a blue shirt. That man who is wearing a blue shirt is my uncle. Guna attended the week-long seminar. So basically it was a talk, a workshop to train people on certain things, and it was a week long. He had been nominated to train his department in sales. So Guna, who had been nominated to train his department in sales, attended the week-long seminar. It's also fine if you add the two commas. Guna, comma, right, in sales, comma, attended the week-long seminar. That's fine too. So that was who. Now we are dealing with whom. Okay, so take note. No verbs after whom. Let's go. Question 1. I was looking for the teacher. The teacher was on sick leave. The teacher whom I was looking for was on sick leave. Notice, no verbs after that. Whom I was looking for. Another way to think about this is I was looking for him. Him with an M at the back, whom with the M at the back. Lily greeted the security guard. He was on duty at the gate yesterday. So the security guard whom Lily greeted was on duty at the gate yesterday. So usually the mistakes that students make would be the security guard whom was on duty. Whom was on duty. So if as a verb right after that, if you think, okay, it's whom was, this is incorrect, yeah? We should not have verbs after whom. You spoke to the woman just now. She looks like somebody I know. So the woman whom you spoke to just now looks like somebody I know. Mr. Tay meets a young lady at the food center every week. She is his niece. So the young lady whom, right, so let's add this in. The young lady whom Mr. Tay meets at the food center every week is his niece. Question 5. The policeman chased the thief. The thief had stolen that woman's bag. Okay, the thief whom the policeman chased had stolen that woman's handbag. So what's the wrong thing to do here? The thief whom had stolen. No verbs after the word whom, yeah? So we shouldn't say the thief whom had stolen. So the thief whom the policeman chased. That's the correct answer. You spoke to the librarian just now. She is calling for you. So the librarian whom you spoke to just now is calling for you. I met Mrs. Tan at the exhibition. She is my teacher. Mrs. Tan, comma, whom I met at the exhibition, comma, is my teacher. That lady can speak very well. I spoke to her just now. That lady whom I spoke to just now can speak very well. So what's the wrong answer? That lady whom can speak very well, right? That lady whom can speak very well. That would be incorrect. That lady is Miss Tang. My mother knows her very well. That lady whom my mother knows very well is Miss Tang. The boy was innocent. We thought he had committed the theft. That boy whom we thought had committed the theft was innocent. And exercise 3. Linda is my cousin. The boys in the school adore her. So she's very popular with the boys. Let's take a look. Linda, whom the boys in the school adore, is my cousin. I love my grandmother. My grandmother is now overseas. My grandmother, comma, whom I love, comma, is now overseas. Halim is my cousin. You met him at the bus stop yesterday. So Halim, whom you met at the bus stop yesterday, comma, is my cousin. Mrs. Lim is our English teacher. We all love her. And the answer is Mrs. Lim, comma, whom we all love, comma, is our English teacher. You met the new neighbor yesterday. She is joining us for lunch. The new neighbor whom you met yesterday is joining us for lunch. Exercise 4. That lady in black is an actress. I spoke to her earlier. That lady in black, whom I spoke to earlier, is an actress. The man is my uncle. You were talking to him. The man whom you were talking to is my uncle. The boy was wearing a blue skirt. You met him outside the shop. The boy whom we met outside the shop was wearing a blue shirt. Mina gave the boy some sweets. He is her favorite nephew. The boy whom Mina gave some sweets to, don't forget to over here, right, the preposition. The boy whom Mina gave some sweets to is her favorite nephew. 2 stars. The football player scored the winning goal. He was interviewed by a group of reporters. If you recall, this was actually in the previous question type, who. So now we're using whom, so the structure is actually quite different. So the football player whom a group of reporters interviewed scored the winning goal. So think about this as the main sentence, right? The football player scored the winning goal. Okay, that's the main sentence, the main idea here. But the additional information is the football player whom a group of reporters interviewed scored the winning goal. Exercise 5. I met Sandra. I used to play with her at Tampines Mall. I met Sandra, whom I used to play with at Tampines Mall. These are the winners of the quiz. I will introduce them to you later. These are the winners of the quiz whom I will introduce to you later. Mr. Tan is a trainer. You met him yesterday. Mr. Tan, whom you met yesterday, is a trainer. She is researching on a pioneer. The pioneer is Tan Tock Seng. A pioneer is a person who starts something. Yeah. So in this case, the pioneer whom she is researching on is Tan Tock Seng. That is the salesman. You must speak to him tomorrow. That is the salesman whom you must speak to tomorrow. Exercise 6. Tracy had not seen him for more than 10 years. She called her neighbor. Tracy called her neighbor whom she had not seen for more than 10 years. She confided in her mother. Her mother gave her good advice. So something not so pleasant happened to her, so she basically poured her heart out. Yeah, she told her mother everything, and then her mother gave her good advice. So how do we use whom to connect these two? Her mother, whom she confided in, gave her good advice. So basically the sentence is her mother gave her good advice. The extra information is this: her mother, whom she confided in, gave her good advice. I am going fishing with Kenny tomorrow. He is my childhood friend. Kenny, whom I am going fishing with tomorrow, is my childhood friend. Thomas greeted Mrs. Jensen. She was on morning duty in the hall yesterday. Jensen, whom Thomas greeted, was on morning duty in the hall yesterday. The kind policeman helped the little boy. The little boy was very grateful. The little boy, whom the kind policeman helped, was very grateful. Exercise 7. The food stall owner received a warning letter for unhygienic practices. Oh, they were not very clean in their handling of food. Kim bought food from him. Oh no. The food stall owner whom Kim bought food from received a warning letter for unhygienic practices. Yeah, a little tricky, but this is the answer. Nora has not seen Gary for 2 years. She gave him a huge smile. Nora gave Gary, whom she had not seen for 2 years, a huge smile. This man owns the flat. You saw him just now. The man whom you saw just now owns the flat. That girl failed her science test. The teacher encouraged her to work harder. That girl, whom the teacher encouraged to work harder, failed her science test. We visit an old aunt every Christmas. She is my father's sister. The old aunt, whom we visit every Christmas, is my father's sister. The man is a pilot. We got the information about the different aeroplanes from him. The man, whom I got the information about the different aeroplanes, is a pilot. Because it's quite a long sentence, it's also fine if you add 2 commas here. The man from whom I got the information about different airplanes is a pilot. Jane is my cousin. I share a room with her. Jane, with whom I share a room, is my cousin. Oh, look, a level 2 question. These cookies were baked for the children. The children live next door. The children for whom the cookies were baked live next door. Kelly has enormous respect for Mrs. Kim, who is patient and caring. Mrs. Kim, for whom Kelly has an enormous respect, is patient and caring. Question 5, a level 2. I met up with Ken. I used to work with him. And the answer is Ken, with whom I met up, used to work with me. So did you find this difficult? It's a tricky one. Oh, make sure that you do not have double 2s. Let's remove that. Used to work with me. And that's the answer. Exercise 9. Who are you sending this letter to? Okay, we are very familiar with asking questions like that, yeah? But what about with whom? Well, it goes like this. To whom are you sending this letter? Notice there isn't a to at the back. It's moved all the way to the front. The preposition moves all the way to the front. Who are you baking this cake for? For whom are you baking this cake? Notice, again, there isn't for at the back. It's moved all the way to the front. Who are you going to the concert with? With whom are you going to the concert? Who are you sending this message to? To whom are you sending this message? Who are you sharing this apartment with? With whom are you sharing this apartment? And that is all for whom. Now we're dealing with whose, so showing belonging. Mei Ling is only 6 years old. Her painting won the first prize in the art competition. So Mei Ling, whose painting won the first prize in the art competition, is only 6 years old. It would be very uncomfortable to be living in a house with rooms that are strewn with rubbish all over the place. It would be very uncomfortable to live in a house whose rooms are strewn with rubbish. I took a picture with Mr. Devon. His daughter won the first prize in the writing competition. I took a picture with Mr. Devon, whose daughter won the first prize in the writing competition. Mr. Singham's husband, Mrs. Singham's husband, was injured in a car accident last year. She has resigned from her job to look after him. Next, Mrs. Singham, whose husband was injured in a car accident last year, has resigned from her job to look after him. The man had tried smuggling cigarettes illegally into Singapore. His van was confiscated, probably the cigarettes as well. The man whose van was confiscated had tried smuggling cigarettes illegally into Singapore. Exercise 2. Gerald is my cousin. His mother is a teacher. Gerald, whose mother is a teacher, is my cousin. She is an artist. I'm quite familiar with her work. She is an artist whose work I'm quite familiar with. This is George. You will be taking George's class next week. This is George, whose class you will be taking next week. The flood destroyed Mr. Tan's house. We had to stay in the relief shelter. Mrs. Tan, whose house was destroyed in the flood, had to stay in the relief shelter. Jolene wanted the artist to paint a portrait of her. His works had won many awards. The artist whose works had won many awards was wanted by Jolene to paint a portrait of her. Exercise 3. The policeman assisted the woman. Her daughter was lost in the mall. The policeman assisted the woman whose daughter was lost in the mall. Jared is my friend. His parents are lawyers. Jared, whose parents are lawyers, is my friend. Zul broke his racket. He still played in the tournament. How did he manage to do that? Okay. Zul, whose racket was broken by him, still played in the tournament. By the way, I think that if you omit this part here, it's still correct. Yeah. Zul, whose racket was broken. Ooh. Now, if you're thinking, would my answer be correct if I left this part out? Zul, whose racket was broken, still played in the tournament. Well, I would think no. Why? What's the difference between racket was broken and broken by him? Now, racket was broken just means it was broken. We are not sure whether it's by, the teacher, by someone who's not a fan, or by him. But the question does tell us it was him who broke the racket. So it is important, therefore, to say whose racket was broken by him. And because of this, I think this actually deserves 2 stars. The shopkeeper has been promoted. His helpfulness earned him much praise. So, the shopkeeper whose helpfulness earned him much praise has been promoted. This is fine even with 2 commas. Mrs. Tan bought eggs from a farmer. His chickens roam free. So the chickens belong to the farmer, yes? Mrs. Tan bought eggs from the farmer whose chickens roam free. Exercise 4. Sherlock Holmes allowed the police inspectors to take credit for his work. His superior deductions often confused them. Sherlock Holmes, whose superior deductions often baffled the police inspectors, allowed them to take credit for his work. Ooh, quite a tricky one, isn't it? So I'm going to give this 2 stars. So what belongs to Sherlock Holmes here? It's the superior deductions. Therefore, whose is used for that. So we're going to show belonging for question 2. It's the 3 dogs belonging to Muthu, isn't it? So Muthu, whose house? Muthu's house is smaller than mine. He owns 3 dogs. So whose? We are showing belonging. And what belongs to Muthu? Yeah, the 3 dogs, but also the house. So what makes more sense here? The house. So the answer goes like this. Muthu, whose house is smaller than mine, owns 3 dogs. Miss Maria was given the Outstanding Teacher Award. Her hard work was recognized. So it's the hard work that belongs to Miss Maria. Yeah. So Miss Maria, whose hard work was recognized, was given the Outstanding Teacher Award. The woman's handbag was stolen. She is my aunt. So what belongs to the woman here is the handbag. So the woman whose handbag was stolen is my aunt. Mr. Lim's nephew won an award in the recent art competition. Mr. Lim gave a speech. So because it's Mr. Lim's nephew, so Mr. Lim, whose nephew won an award in the recent art competition, gave a speech. Also fine if you insert 2 commas here. Exercise 5. Lawrence is a pianist. Lawrence's favorite composer is Mozart. Lawrence, whose favorite composer is Mozart, is a pianist. The woman's house is on fire. She is overseas. Oh dear. The woman whose house is on fire is overseas. Botero is a famous artist. His paintings are known to be sold for millions of dollars, usually when the painter himself is dead, unfortunately. Next, Botero, whose paintings are known to be sold for millions of dollars, is a famous artist. Ooh, he's still alive, I think. John's digital camera was stolen last month. He is more careful with his new one now. John, whose digital camera was stolen last month, is more careful with his new one now. Jonathan brings home cooked meals to school. His father is a chef. Lucky him. Jonathan, whose father is a chef, brings home cooked meals to school. Exercise 6. Who does this library book belong to? Whose library book is this? My classmate's father is an engineer. I have a classmate whose father is an engineer. Actually, this is a bit tricky, isn't it? So maybe I'll give this a 2-star. Question 3. This is Mrs. Tan. We stayed at her house during the June holiday. So the house belongs to her. So this is Mr. Tan, whose house we stayed at during the June holidays. Whoa, why did the teacher allow that? Frank is a famous badminton player in Singapore. His mother sells chicken rice every morning. Frank, the mother, it's his mother, right? Whose mother sells chicken rice every morning, is a famous badminton player in Singapore. Siti was delighted her painting had been chosen for a competition. Siti, whose painting had been chosen for a competition, was delighted. And that's it for whose. We are going to now work on where and which. Exercise 1. Tommy knows a restaurant which serves delicious food. Tommy knows a restaurant where delicious food is served. Actually, that is pretty tricky. So right off the bat, question 1 is a 2-star question. The Siberian tiger is a carnivorous predator. It preys primarily, mainly, on wild boar and red deer. The Siberian tiger is a carnivorous predator which preys primarily on wild boar and red deer. The bookstore is closed. I bought my storybook there yesterday. The bookstore where I bought my storybook yesterday is closed. The bag was stained with ink. The bag had to be cleaned thoroughly. The bag, which was stained with ink, had to be cleaned thoroughly. Also fine without the 2 commas. Freshly caught fish are served at the restaurant by the harbour. My family ate at the restaurant. My family ate at the restaurant by the harbour where freshly caught fish are served. Also deserving of 2 stars, I think. Exercise 2. I will meet you at the cafeteria. I used to work there. I will meet you at the cafeteria where I used to work. The car crashed into the tree last night. The car is red. The car which crashed into the tree last night is red. And we can tell there wasn't an explosion because it is still red, otherwise it would be black. A deer was run over by a car. A deer was badly injured. A deer, which was run over by a car, was badly injured. The book belongs to John. The book was taken by the bully. The book, which was taken by the bully, belongs to John. Hokkaido is a winter wonderland. Everything is covered in snow in December, including the human beings that live there. Answer. Hokkaido is a winter wonderland where everything is covered in snow in December. Exercise 3. Eczema is a skin condition. It can cause discomfort to people. Eczema is a skin condition which can cause discomfort to people. The movie was a success. Jackie Chan starred in it. Of course it is. The movie which Jackie Chan starred in was a success. The boot is spacious enough to accommodate all the boxes. Put them in the boot of the car. Put all the boxes in the boot of the car, which is spacious enough to accommodate all of them. Whoa, pretty tricky, isn't it? So let's give this a 2-star rating. Again, put all the boxes in the boot of the car, which is spacious enough to accommodate all of them. Dover Education is a primary school. I am studying there. I am studying in Dover Education, which is a primary school. This is the school library. We often do our homework here. This is the school library where we often do our homework. Notice here is not mentioned. Yeah. Exercise 4. I visited Australia. Fanny, my best friend, was born there. I visited Australia where Fanny, my best friend, without the comma here, okay, take that away, was born. The tools are in the box. They belong to my father. The tools, which belong to my father, are in the box. The boys returned to the cave. They had found some treasure there. The boys returned to the cave where they had found some treasure. Notice, there is not repeated. Question 4. That was the forest. The hikers got lost there. That was the forest where the hikers got lost. Again, the word there is not included in your answer. He told us a story. We could not believe it. He told us a story which we could not believe. It is not included in our answer. Exercise 5. Mr. Tan asked the question. I could not answer it. Mr. Tan asked a question which I could not answer. John bought a new football from a sports shop. It is located in Queensway. The sports shop where John bought the new football from is located at Queensway. A fire broke out in the restaurant. My family had lunch there 1 week ago. A fire broke out in the restaurant where my family had lunch 1 week ago. The stopwatch is damaged. Kent accidentally dropped it onto the floor just now. The stopwatch, which Kent accidentally dropped onto the floor just now, is damaged. I cannot remember the place I kept my English book there. I cannot remember the place where I kept my English book. Exercise 6. This is the spot. I found my wallet there. This is the spot where I found my wallet. This is the room. Jimmy found the wallet here. This is the room where Jimmy found the wallet. Mrs. Tan bought a new bookshelf at the furniture fair. The new bookshelf was cheap. Mrs. Tan bought a new bookshelf at the furniture fair, which was cheap. Another answer which is acceptable is the new bookshelf which Mrs. Tan bought at the furniture fair was cheap. John was heading for the door. The doorbell rang. John was heading for the door when the doorbell rang. The family is looking for their luggage. The luggage was lost in transit. The family was looking for their luggage, which was lost in transit. Exercise 7. This is the school my father used to teach here 10 years ago. This is the school where my father used to teach 10 years ago. This is the car park. Mr. Lim parks his car here. This is the car park where Mr. Lim parks his car. The house was destroyed during the storm. It was built by Gary. The house, which was destroyed during the storm, was built by Gary. And in case you're wondering, this is also an acceptable answer. The house, which was built by Gary, was destroyed in the storm. The trophy is in the cupboard. It belongs to my sister. The trophy that is in the cupboard belongs to my sister. Alternatively, the trophy that belongs to my sister is in the cupboard. The sports car has broken down. My father bought it with his bonus. The sports car which my father bought with his bonus has broken down. And there you go. This concludes the video. We have finished revising all the questions with regards to who, whom, whose, where, and which. Hope you had fun. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.